Hey, family. Welcome to the African Ancestry Experience, where we discuss what it means to transform the way Black people view themselves and the way that we view Africa. It's August, and if you've been following us, which I know you do, we're all about amplifying and supporting Black businesses, particularly in August, though we do it all year round. We've gathered some of the most innovative, creative, driven, experienced business minds tonight for a discussion about the importance of supporting Black-owned businesses. You don't want to miss this, so stay tuned because I want to know ya.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia.
So you know that the African Ancestry Experience is all about sharing identity-focused conversations with the African diaspora. Here at African Ancestry, we trace your DNA, we find your roots, and then we help you to explore who you are. So many of you, I say this all the time, are at different stages of your African ancestry journey. And so we have something for everybody, no matter which stage you're at. If you're just checking us out, we have a host of information on AfricanAncestry.com. If you're waiting for your results, we have the African Ancestry online community where you can talk to other people who've gotten their results, and some of them may be waiting too. And if you're an OG, you know, we got you here on the live. We interact with you all kinds of ways. Shout out to Peep. Look, I got to put my glasses on for this one. Peep at US Cities. Welcome, Peep at US Cities. I don't recognize your name. I'm happy to see all of you. Cheryl and Annetta, Della, Mary as usual, Avanti. Hey, Kathy, thank you for being here. Now, every Wednesday, we give away African Ancestry swag to the first person to join us after 7 p.m. And so tonight's lucky winner is going to win our words notebook, which was printed by one of tonight's panelists, one of tonight's guests. And so congratulations to Peep. Peep, that name is hilarious to me. Peep at US Cities. Congratulations. If you email us your mailing address, then we will get your words notebook out to you immediately. King Joseph is in the house. Joey's repping Sierra Leone. I see you in here, Joey. Okay, so you guys, please, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Most importantly, turn on the notification so you will not miss a single episode. You don't want to miss these episodes. I've been hyped for this one all day long. Don't forget to check out our blog. We have been highlighting how to honor the ancestors this month. We talk about ancestry, obviously, it's in our name, but we want to give you some tools, some steps that you can use to for your own practice of honoring the ancestors. And speaking of ancestors and self-determination, I feel like this is kind of our Kuji Chakalia show. Today, we're honoring the birthday of Marcus Mosiah Garvey Sr. You guys know who he is. If you follow African Ancestry, then you know all about Marcus Garvey Sr. So we definitely want to acknowledge his birthday. Now, all month long on social media, we've been highlighting Black-owned businesses that our family members own, or, and I'm talking about African Ancestry family members, or that you've recommended. And so I hope you've been looking at the businesses that we post weekly and you're checking them out. Hopefully you're purchasing from them. I know that that is very important to you all. And it is to us. At African Ancestry, we don't just talk about being Black. We are in the business of being Black all day, every single day. So much so that supporting Black-owned businesses is one of our core values. It is written into our business's core values. And we have a Black-owned business in every major function of our company, a Black-owned vendor or supplier. And so I wanted to share the people that we do business with. You all have seen Diallo Sumbri here on African Ancestry the African Ancestry Experience. He is the owner of the Adinkra Group, and he is instrumental in the African Ancestry Family Reunion. Shout out to Mr. Paul Coates. He does some of our printing. Our fulfillment and customer service is handled by Lynn Ellis and Jerica Fisher, 2 Black women that own Everlasting Love Fulfillment down in Atlanta. Then when we talk about the money and the people, Gagne and Associates, Bridget Gagne is our financial services partner. We are banking at Industrial Bank here in Washington, D.C. And then we have help with our HR management, our human resources management. Shout out to Jody Friend at JLM and Associates. I see some Cameroonians sneaking into the chat. And then Nicole Taylor, shout out to Nicole. She's here too. Marketing support comes from Shared Vision Agency, which is owned by Doug Jackson. Nicole Taylor is our PR guru and partner, Taylor Communications Group. And then shameless plug for my father, Dr. Jerome Page. He helps us with organizational development. And so we are serious about recycling Black dollars. You purchase an African ancestry test. We pay our employees, we pay our Black vendors, and so that money is getting recycled several times. We also have partnerships. So and so many, in fact, all of these people you've seen here on an African Ancestry Experience: Crown by Jelani, IKG Cultural Resource Center, Mahogany Books, Nubian Human, and Adasi. Hopefully you all have copped your copy of the Adasi guide on how to commemorate our African ancestors. So we really do put our money where our mouth is, and we're not asking you to do anything that we don't do ourselves. Personally, I do it, and I could give you a list of the Black-owned businesses I support, but professionally, African Ancestry does it too. All right. In the course of all of this Black business ownership fabulousness, so many of my friends and colleagues are Black business owners, people that I've grown up with, people that I've gone to school with, and then people that I've met along my African ancestry journey. And so I'm really looking forward to tonight's conversation, because we've assembled a diverse group of entrepreneurs to chat it up with tonight. So our group represents 4 decades. We represent the 40s, the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s. We've been in business anywhere between 10 and 45 years. We come from a diversity of industries. We've got hair care, we've got hospitality, we've got book publishing, and we've got e-commerce, brick and mortar, and manufacturing. So I wanted to make sure that we could talk about a wide range of topics, and you guys could see how, what kinds of things we have in common as Black business owners, and then what kinds of things are unique to specific industries. Gail Artist, yes, you got an email that the Cameroon info session was scheduled for tonight at 7 p.m. You should have also gotten an email saying that it has been rescheduled for August 25th. So if you were looking for the Cameroon info call for the African Ancestry Family Reunion Cameroon, that has been rescheduled to August 25th. Yes, Masai, shout out to Black business. Okay, family, so I want you to look in your emojis and find the shopping cart emoji. I want you to put that shopping cart emoji, that's a tongue twister, in the chat or in the comments to welcome my guests. So first, we're going to add legendary publisher, Mr. Paul Coates of Black Classic Press and Black Classic Press Digital. Black Classic Press specializes, ooh, that's a mouthful, specializes in republishing obscure and significant works by and about people of African descent. And they've been doing this since 1978. We have an OG in the building.
House.
Welcome, Paul Coates. Now,
Thank you.
I have an ongoing struggle because Mr. Coates has asked me to call him Paul, and my home training just struggle with that. So I'm going to try and call you Paul, but I want everybody to know that I respect you and I'm calling you Paul because you asked me to call you Paul.
And I only ask you to call me Paul because everybody else does.
I'm gonna try it tonight.
So if everybody else could get the same level of respect and honor that you have, I'd go along with it. But since they don't, it's cool. But I do understand what you're saying, and that's like you were raised in the best tradition of our people, and it's a tradition that I was also raised in. And certainly until I became an elder, and even now I struggle sometimes, Gina, just to be honest with you. The deference that you give is understood and appreciated. I just don't want you to be hampered by it in any way.
Okay. I just wanted the people to know that I respect you, but I'm going to call you Paul tonight. Okay.
Thank you.
Our next guest is one of my favorite people. I'm going to say one of my favorite young people because I have so many favorite people. I got to put them in categories. Natural hair care entrepreneur, Angela Walker of In Natural Studio. Since 2012, y'all, she and her team have been using hair as a tool to empower women who come into their space, but most importantly, to empower their own lives and power their livelihood. Hey, Angela.
Hey, Gina.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, she's calling you Mr. Coates. See, I started.
Oh, wow.
All right. And then our third guest is airport restaurateur mogul, Adrian Beard of Whitman May Enterprises. Adrian operates numerous nationally top-ranked fast casual restaurants at Charlotte Douglas Airport and Raleigh Durham International Airport. So welcome, Adrian.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well,
hey, Angela. Hey, Mr. Coates.
All right. All right.
I gotta say all right. So to my panel of esteemed guests, we like to begin every show with identity-based questions. We want the fam to know who you all are. So I would like for you to each please finish this sentence. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Coates. I am
Paul Coates, committed, eternally committed to the rise and liberation of my people. And that's who I am. And that's what I'm committed to, whether it's family, whether it's community, whether it's the world. That's who I am, and that's who I want to be known as.
Okay.
You can put Mr. behind it or on it if you want to, it's cool, but that's who I am.
Okay. How about you, Angela? I am.
I would first like to say going after Mr. Coates is really hard, Gina. But
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I am a mother, a salon owner, and I duel between those two realities every hour. I've dedicated my professional career to showing the world that Black people can work together in an organized way, making enough money to survive and thrive while following the rules.
Adrian, I'm sorry. I had you
tough on me.
Third. Adrian, I
am a child of God. I was raised by a single mother, a hilarious father. I am a father of two amazing kids. I am a husband of an amazing wife who has just started her natural hair journey a few months ago. I am a person who believes in everyone in my orbit is experiencing excellence. My vision statement for my company is experience excellence. Real simple. And really the goal is that everyone that I interact with, I want them to experience excellence in myself and how I treat my employees, how my employees treat our customers, how our customers experience our food, and just really having that motto to motivate me every day. So I am a person who is trying to perfect excellence every day in what I do.
Ashe. Okay, so that actually, you just answered my second question, which is about, let's talk about the identity of your business. So Angela, you touched on it, but what would you say the identity of In Natural is, and how did it come to be?
The identity of N Natural. It came to be because I wanted to show, at that time it was Black women specific. I wanted to specifically show that Black women can work in an environment that was loving, that was fun, that was encouraging. And I found the natural hair space extremely unique. Before I opened up my own, I worked in 2 other salons. They were both salons owned by Black women, serviced Black women, used products that were created by Black women. And I just thought it was an extremely unique, like, economic system that worked for me, because I'm similar to you, Gina. I'm all about supporting Black businesses, even within the business. I think that answers the question.
No, I love it. I love it. Mr. Coates, ancestors and ancestry play a significant role in your businesses. So how would you describe the identities of Black Classic Press, and, if you want, Black Classic Press Digital?
Okay, hopefully that identity is out there as a service to our community. That's the identity that I created when we started the business. We began not as a business, actually. We began as a community organization, and we began in service to people who were incarcerated. So publishing, selling books, and later printing books was all began to give people a way to come back into the community after being incarcerated. I had a lot of people in jail in the early 70s, people who went to jail from the Black Panther Party, which I was a part of at that time. And this became a vehicle to work with them as they transitioned out of jail, but other people that were in jail with them too. It just so happened, it went from a community organization with no one involved to a business with me involved about 10 years later. That's when I really realized that I was in business. But the road we're on is the same, and that is delivering information about who we are to our community and about who we as a people are in the world and our impact on the world.
Whew, so many nuggets here. Now, Adrian, you gave us a very clear perspective on what Whitman May is about. But I know that when we first met at Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses at the program, one of the first things you communicated about Whitman May was its identity. And I wanted you to share that with our viewers.
So that statement, that quote that people hear all the time, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Well, I wanted the name Whitman May to mean something. I had started a company probably 10, 15 years prior to that, and the name didn't mean anything to me. And so I said, if I ever had a chance, an opportunity to start another business, the name was going to mean something to me. So the May in Whitman May is my great aunt. She had a market in Kansas City, Kansas from the late 1920s to 1950 or 1970s. And the Whitman is my great uncle's middle name, Albury Whitman Christian. And so the name represents my ancestors. The name represents who I am to my core. And so every day when I say the name, I think of them. They're behind me on my desk. And part of my success is really taking their legacy to the next level and taking my ancestor to the next level, to the place that maybe because of racism and Jim Crow and all the other things that they couldn't do. I just imagine sometimes that this, petite African-American woman who started a business in the late 1920s, what did that look like? How difficult was that? And to do it with such grace and excellence for 50 years. And she could have been the next Walmart or Target. And so part of my responsibility is to take it to the next level. And that's what we try to do at Whitman May Enterprises.
So you all can see why these are my friends and why these are my colleagues. Nobody said they started a business because they wanted to get paid. Of course, you want to do that. You want your business to be successful, but everyone who's here on this panel today started their business to support the community, to fill a need in the community, and to represent our families and our communities and our ancestors with the highest levels of excellence. So let's get into the business stuff. There are about 3 million Black-owned businesses in the United States. And 96% of them are sole proprietorships. That means 96%, what is that? That's like 2,900,000 of them are sole proprietorships, means it's just one person working in the company. Yeah. And then the other 4% are considered employer businesses. And an employer business is an employer business is a business with more than one employee. So out of the 14 million businesses in the entire United States, 3 million of them are Black owned. And then we represent, would you believe, only 134,000 Black owned employer businesses. Wow. Now there are 8 million US employer businesses, so businesses that have multiple employees. But Black ones, there are only 567 of us as of the 2019 census. And we know that number has fluctuated because of the pandemic. Some have dropped off, more have entered. Yeah. Now, the 134,000 of our colleagues have annual revenues of 134 billion. A total of 1.3 million employees and a total annual payroll of almost $41 billion. So even though we are such a small part of the overall business landscape of the United States, look at what we're helping to generate by having employees. And I can imagine that, I can't imagine, I know that it's hard to start a business with employees, right? We started the business and we weren't paying anybody. We had some unpaid employees, but I don't think unpaid employees counts. So I just wanted to put that in perspective, less than 1%, 0.1% of all businesses in the US look like us on this panel. And I think that is something to be proud of, that we exist. And it also helps us set the tone for what we have to do to help empower other businesses. Now, Angela, you have a wonderful mix of creativity, drive, and business acumen. I tell you this every time I see you. I am an In-Natural client, okay, in full disclosure. And I use Angela as my personal FAQ sometimes. I'm like, what's going on with this? But tell us how you came up with the name In-Natural Hair Studio, because I was like, isn't that duplicative?
Right. Okay. Actually, I love telling this story. So when I was in high school, I've always loved doing hair. And from when I was in high school, I was like, all right, I think I want to open a salon one day. And I always did all of my friends' hair. So they also knew that it was just like a passion of mine because I was doing it for free. And a really good friend, my best friend, Glenn, she had a friend we called him Midnight. I don't think we ever actually knew his real name. And then one day she was like, do you know Midnight's last name? And I was thinking, I don't know Midnight's first name. And she was like, it's Ndiagne. I was like, oh, that's a beautiful name. It sounds so powerful. What does it mean? And she said, it means strong hair. And when she said that, I said, when I grow up and I open a salon, I'm going to call it Ndiagne. And when that time came and it was time for me to open my salon, I told my mom, like, I'm going to call it Ndiagne. And every week she was saying, what's the name of that? What you going to call it again? And I was like, if my own mom cannot remember this name, no one's going to remember this name. So I'll just use the N in Ndiagne and call it N Natural Hair Studio.
Lesson, people, don't name your company something that people can't pronounce, or you just have to do a whole education campaign on how to for how to explain how to pronounce it. Now, Angela, I've been natural for 27 years. That just, I was like, ooh, that's a long time. It seems to me, though, like more and more people are wearing their hair natural now. Shout out to Dr. Afia, who is watching us. She joined us in the chat. When would you say that it started becoming popular to the levels that we seem to be experiencing now?
Right. Even though it seems like I'll be a good judge of that, I don't know if I am, because I was a freshman in college when I decided I'm going to cut off my hair. The only reason I'm wearing my hair straight is to look like something I'm not. And as soon as I made that statement, all of a sudden I noticed natural hair all around me. So for me, I thought that natural hair blew up from 2007. And I remember being on a bus in 2010 and this guy, looking at my hair, and he was just like, why do you wear your hair like that? Like, no one wears it like that. So to him, it was clearly not happening. But I would say that I really noticed it blowing up probably around, I would say 2014, 2015 was when I personally started to notice almost every commercial with Black women, they started to only have them wearing curly hair.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. And so we have a long history with hair care businesses and restaurants, right? When you think about Black-owned businesses, I think that's what we see in our neighborhoods. You're going to see a church, you're going to see a hair salon, you're going to see a restaurant or some kind of, carry out. Now, Adrian, what made you decide to choose such a unique niche? You weren't like, I'm going to open a restaurant. You said, I'm going to go open restaurants in airports. How did that come to be?
March 22nd, 2010, I got laid off, a letter of furlough from the best job I ever had in my life. And my wife asked me at the time what I thought to be a crazy, insensitive question. She asked me about an hour or two after I got laid off, are you excited? Who is excited about getting laid off for a job? So it took me a couple of weeks to really focus in on what she was saying. And when I really focused in, the thought was I can do and be whatever I want to do. I have a clean slate. And I remember 4 years before I was in an airport, I paid like $15, for a meal. I was like, wow, that'd be a great idea. And so that's when it happened in 2010. I started my company, Whitman May Enterprises. A few months after that, I reached out to my mentor, I guess at the time, PJ Benton. She, brought me aboard, taught me everything that I know really. And interesting fact, she was the second African-American female in the United States to open a McDonald's. So that was who I had as a mentor. And that was really what started the journey in the restaurant business.
So everybody knows y'all tease me about what country are you in? What, are you in the US? Right. Are you in Ghana? Are you in blah, blah, blah. So I travel a lot. And those of us who travel probably never even think about who owns the concessions, the restaurants, the news stands, you know, all of those, now the clothing boutiques and everything that are in the airport. But we use these services while we're waiting for our flights. It just struck me that there probably aren't that many Black folks in the industry. Do you all know each other?
We don't know each other, but I mean, if you think about it, Charlotte Douglas, for example, I think there are about 60 or so restaurants, and about 30% of those restaurants are owned by either Black people or women.
Wow.
So Charlotte Douglas has a actual high number. And even Raleigh-Durham has a decent number as well. I don't think it's as close as 30, but I mean, it's a high percentage. So it's more than what you think. It's just, you just don't see it, you know, in the airport. There's not a stamp anywhere that says, you know, Black business, but there's a lot.
Well, tell us the name of yours, because we need people to know which ones are yours so that when they're in Raleigh-Durham or they're in Charlotte, they'll go to those to get their meals.
Okay. In Charlotte Douglas, I have a smash burger on A North. In about 120 days or so, I'm opening a PDQ. That'll be on E in Charlotte Douglas. In Raleigh, in Terminal 1, I have a char grill and a Salsaritas, which is a Tex-Mex. In Terminal 2 in Raleigh, I have a bar called Raleigh Tap Room. I have a Bruegger's Bagel and a burger bar called Uptown Burger Bar.
It don't matter what you want to eat when you're in North Carolina in an airport. Adrian got you. Wow. And we haven't talked in quite a while. So some of these are new to me. I'm very proud, and congratulations on being able to open those. One more quick question. So when you are already in the system, like once you have your first airport, let's just say restaurant, is it easier to get the next one and the next one, or is it still the same hurdles that you have to jump?
I think it's the same hurdles, but I think you get better at your value proposition. So my first two restaurants opened in 2014, and then it was 2019 when I opened the third, and then 2020 I added 3 more. So I don't know if it's easier or not, but I think you just get better at what you do. You meet more people, you network differently. Your money, you know, starts coming in differently, so you can grow in a certain way. I'm a risk taker, I think, by nature. And so I think I have 6 right now. My goal is to have 100. So I'm just at the beginning of the journey.
Ashe. Well, you all listen, we got to help Adrian get to his 100. And it starts with the 6 that are in Raleigh, Durham Airport, and Charlotte Airport. So, you know, we're seeing some themes here that these businesses are being started out of or being grown out of passion. They're being started out of ideas of things, you know, ideas that you've had way back and decided to act on them when the time was right, taking advantage of opportunities as they arise, and then operating in excellence, of course. Right. Angela, I didn't mention this when she was on, but Angela has 3 salons, and we'll get to that. She has 3 salons. She does e-commerce. She does education. So once you're in your niche, it's easy to start expanding and growing your empires. But I want to talk to Mr. Coates about his idea, because I'm wondering, how in the world did you decide to devote a company to publishing obscure and significant works by and about people of African descent? What in the world made you think that there was a market for those?
Can I say this first? That I would love to just listen to you talk to your other guests, you know, because both of them are fascinating. And of course, when I look in the mirror, I'm not really that fascinating.
Yes, you are. Obscure. You've been in business since the 20th century. None of us were in business in the 20th century.
So no, that's true. Look, so for me it was easy, and I think people understand this. Like, you do what you love, you do what motivates you. And for me, I love our history. I love the tales about our past. And I think they point to the future. much of that history is grounded, and much of that history has already been written by Black people and other people who love Black people. Sometimes it was written by people who didn't love Black people, but they told the truth in their way. That became the place, and those were the books that were not around in the 1970s. You can find a lot of those books now. They were not around in the 80s. You can find a lot now because technology has changed and they're more accessible. But still, knowing the building blocks of our history was very important to me. And it led me to understand that these obscure books were written by people who took on the task of telling our history. It was like primary to them. They understood when everyone else said that Black people have no value, that Black people have no history. And you know that was the tale that they used to enslave us and devalue us. You have no history, you contribute. These people understood even going back to people like David Walker in the 1820s, these people understood our history and they wrote our history. Our history is written, it's legible, it's there, and it's available for us. And I saw it as my task to make that history available.
Mr. Coates, we need to introduce you to Dr. Afia because she has a dream of getting her books published through Black Classic Press. They're already written, so she's ahead of the game. So we gotta. You will be on the front end, Mr. Coates, of significant works by a young Black woman, expert in her field.
So here is the story, Gina. I have to do my passion, right? And I've turned down a lot of works that I could have been on the edge of and been much more financial because it's not me. Now, I will say this about Sister Afia. I am going to meet her in a few days because she called me up and she was so passionate. I have offered no one to work with me and to train in publishing except her in the last 20 years or more, except her. So I'm looking forward. I'm really looking forward. And then you blowing her up. So I got to look forward to her. But look, the whole thing is like, no matter what the business is, you got to do your passion. You know, you got to do, and you know this because if this wasn't passionate for you, couldn't get out of bed, you know?
Lord,
you got to get out of bed, whether the money is there, whether the money is not there. You got to have something calling you to this. And this is what calls me.
I love it. If we could bring Angela and Adrian back on, I have so many questions, and now I'm going to jump ahead because we're running out of time. But I feel like we need a part 2 and a part 3. But now that I have all of you on the screen, there's something I've been dying to talk to some fellow Black business owners about, and that is our customers. So most of us have customers that look like us. That's who our customers are, with the exception of Adrian, but we're about to flood Salsaritas and Smash Burgers and Brugger's with Black folks. So, and there's significant numbers of us in your cities. But the fact that we are our customers makes our businesses both rewarding and challenging, right? I saw Angela's face. And Mr. Coates, your customer often is a business customer, right? You're working with clients who want you to publish, but I know you also do sell books. So what is the one, we're just gonna go around. What is one thing that you wish your existing customers or your potential customers would do differently when engaging with your business? One thing that they would do differently, you wish they would do differently. I'll start. I wish that potential customers wouldn't ask us for a discount.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes to that.
Okay, let me flip it a little bit, because when I talk about customers, I have 5 customers. And so I'll talk about one customer. So one customer is what I call my internal customer, which is my employees. And so from that customer, I want them to think on a grander scheme for themselves, right?
Mm.
And don't just see yourself where you are, but see yourself where you can be, where you want to be, and then chase that. Most of my employees are young, not all of them, but I have a lot of young African American employees, and they see themselves in their current situation. And my biggest wish for them is that they can see more for themselves and for their lives. And my external customers just spend more. That's all.
Spend more.
Just spend more.
I like that one. I like that one.
Or don't complain about the airport pricing.
Yeah,
that's hard to do. That's hard to do. So I understand that.
That's a really good question.
So, Gina, I want to answer or contribute quickly. I wish that the customers, particularly the ones that come and work with us for printing, would take more time to study the business of publishing. Okay? Because when you publish a book, when you self-publish a book, you're going into business. And most people don't understand that. They think that writing the book is what the task is, but no, you're going into business. Now, I want to get this in real, to give us some context, okay? And something to think about. I forget the percentage that you said that the businesses that we represent as businesses now. I can't think of that, okay? I can't remember that.
0.1%.
Okay, I think it's important when you said that, it caused me to think again of our ancestors, and that's what we're talking about today. First of all, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey's whole thing was driven by us supporting ourselves. And so, of course, he had an entire platform for business. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Garvey, though. Today is his birthday, and I encourage people to read. What really came up for me was Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington becomes our oldest business organizer, National Association of Negro Businesses. This is Booker T. Washington. This is the one that folks call the Tom and all this stuff. He advocated for Black businesses all of his life. And he advocated for Black people to spend with Black people and support themselves. All of his life he did this. I just want to make sure that we acknowledge those ancestors in this conversation. And I encourage people to look up their efforts. Garvey dealt in the areas of hair. He dealt in the areas of publishing. He dealt in all areas we can travel. Garvey sent ambassadors all over the world. All over the world in search of the African players. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Listen, this is why.
I'm not sorry. I mean,
no.
Off track, but contextual-wise, I'm not sorry.
That's why you're here. And that's why it's important that we have a range of perspectives. If it was just all of us 21st century business owners, we wouldn't have the perspective that you bring. So I appreciate the history, the ancestry of Black business. What say you, Angela?
Yes, I've had some time to think. Thank you. I would say that I would love for our customers to value us as much as we value us. I think that when it comes to hair, because your grandma can do it or Keisha down the street can do it, people tend to devalue how much a hair service should cost. And they often question the pricing. And anytime pricing is questioned nowadays, I treat it very differently. But I do wonder, what is the life that they want for their stylist? This is not a traditional job. Typically, people don't have paid time off. They don't get vacation. They don't get sick leave. And that's something that we're doing at N Natural Hair Studio that's very different from your traditional salon. And that costs money. Like it costs for you to be able to provide this type of work-life balance for a stylist, when this has always been a job that has been extremely hard on the body, extremely hard on people's social life, extremely hard on people's family life. And at the end of it, they still don't own their home. They don't have retirement. And so I think that when people see salon prices nowadays, they're thinking like, these people are, going crazy. But the truth is, the stylists before us didn't set themselves up in a way that was long lasting. And now that we have access to technology, we understand businesses better. We're doing it differently this time around. And I really wish that the clients could see and understand that.
I love that, Angela. I would like to add, not only value us the way we value us, but value us the way you value white-owned businesses.
Right.
Because one of the things I hear whenever there's a problem, it could be a slight problem. The first thing someone will say is, well, I wanted to support you because you're a Black-owned business, but now I'm going to have to tell everybody because, you know, you put you misspelled my last name, or,
Right.
it could be little things. It could be big things. I would like to see our customers collectively deepen the runway, give us Black-owned businesses the same runway to provide good customer service as they give to Nordstrom, or they give to Saks, or Michael Kors, or whatever people are buying these days. Okay. Another question I wanted to ask you all while we have a few, I'm going over time. Would you be willing to share a pivotal moment in your business that made you either question whether to keep going, or, in the spirit of how Adrian looks at things, magnified that you were on the right track?
Well, that's
so
good.
Some pivotal moment where you said, oh, okay, something needs to change, or, oh, okay, here we go.
I had a pivotal moment with my second employee. And it was early on, and I was questioning, like, okay, but why didn't you do it this way? Like, why is it taking all this time? And she just stopped what she was doing very calmly. And she looked at me and she said, Angela, if we were you, we would do it like you, but we're not. And that just changed my whole perspective in how I look at the people that I work with, in the amount of patience that I give, in how I try to see things from their perspective, the level of empathy that I have. And I just realized, like, she's right. Everyone sees things differently. The way that you come in with your background and your perspectives adds value, just how the way that I see things adds value as well. And I think it's helped for me to be a lot more accepting of my team. And I think that's really what has allowed my team to grow, is the level of patience that I have in understanding myself and how I lead, while also kind of taking the backseat and sometimes letting them lead as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I think for me, COVID was very pivotal. Of course, people are not flying, and there was I want to say maybe April, May, where I was really close to closing. And I just said I didn't want to. I was going to do whatever I had to do to stay open. I think at the time I may have had maybe 3 employees, but I made a really interesting decision where I actually kept about 8 employees on the payroll, but I would just cycle one, a week, another one, just to keep them, active. And so then when the airport started ramping back up, I was able to bring those 7 back plus the 2 I already had. So I was already at 9. And while other restaurants in my terminal closed for several months, I was the only restaurant open. And so that helped sustain me until the airport really started picking up. And so, I think the lesson for me is I bet on myself. I bet on my employees. I bet on what we do. And we provide an excellent service, an excellent product. And I think it shows. We get a lot of customer complaints. I got an employee right now that just won a world-class customer service award for his excellence in customer service. And so, when it was tough, I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I kept moving. And I think that was big for a young company. And as we grow and have other challenges, if we can survive COVID, we can survive anything.
Amen.
I hear that.
I think Adrian especially tells a good point there, because the one thing that is my mantra is, as soon as you close your door, your blessing will knock and will not be able to get in. You know, so it's no way that they're going to get in if you close the door. So let somebody else, if somebody else is going to close that door, cool. But you, if you believe, keep moving forward. This goes back, gosh, I can say something for Angela too. Pivotal moment in probably in dealing with people came when I used to sell books at a bookstore. I used to have a very, very good customer who used to buy books all the time. And at a certain point, the deeper you get into books, they begin to cost. And I remember he used to buy books from me, and I needed the money, so I had to sell them, you know, and I wanted to sell them. But I used to apologize all the time. I'm sorry that the books cost so much. I'm sorry. And one day he just told me, he said, Brother Coach, please never apologize. You know, the books are not expensive. It's expensive to be without the books. Oh, wow. And I took that away. And I was thinking about what you were saying, Angela. I was thinking, yeah, it probably is expensive not having my hair done up. You know? so not so much for me, but I'm saying for folks, you know. I think you do a good presentation and a good explanation of why people should consider the value of the services that you present. So I'm really glad to be with you guys.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's all about value. That's the key. We start thinking about value and stop thinking about price, because there's so many things. I used to say this early on in my African ancestry experience. You know, our test at that time was the same price as a Coach bag, as a pair of Jordans. You know, there are all these things that you know, I mean, I'm gonna get real. A night at the strip club, you know, tickets at a concert. It's the value that we place on what we're spending our money. Right. You know, and so it's up to you, the customer, the consumer, to decide how much value you place on what we sell and take it from there. I wish that we could, maybe we can have a part 2 if I could convince you guys to come back. But I definitely we play Fact or Whack, and this is the fun part of the evening for me. Well, it's all fun to me, but I would like for you guys to each read one of the statements. This is where we read a statement, and then our family members who are watching decide whether the statement is a fact or if it's whack. Okay? So there's one for each of you. I think the first one is yours, Mr. Coates.
W. Du Bois is one of 3 elders, now ancestors, that inspired and supported the founding of Black Classic Press.
So do you all think that that's fact or whack? W.E.B. Du Bois is one of the 3 elders who are now ancestors that inspired and supported the founding of Black Classic Press.
Can I add a hint?
Yes.
I have a son who's a bonus son. He was 9 years old when I came into his life. He worked with me at Black Classic Press, and one day he said, Did you know all these people? Did you know all these people? Did you know Sojourn Your Truth? That's a hint.
All right, we got a lot of facts. What do you think, Angela and Adrian? Do you all think this is a fact, or do you think it's whack?
Fact. Dang, I didn't think it was a fact.
Or you think it's whack? You can speak up for yourself now.
Yeah, I thought it was whack, but I thought it was also very believable because it's coming from Mr. Coates. So I feel like, you know, I'm gonna have to go the other way on this one.
Okay, so the facts, everybody's saying fact except for Angela. Let's see, is it Mr. Coates? Is it a fact or is it whack?
It is not in his physical or presence. I never had the honor of meeting the great W.B. Du Bois.
Okay.
Well, it said inspired by, though. I thought inspired.
Yeah, and that's why I put and supported, because you're right.
Okay. I stuck on the supported side. He was not an inspiration in that sense either. Not a direct inspiration, if I had to say it. It really, W. Du Bois was a well-known person. I am inspired by the people who you don't know. people like Jay Rogers, people like John G. Jackson, people like Willis Huggins, those Black folks whose names are just never called and who need to be known because they devoted their lives to us. They devoted their lives to our history.
And I saw on your site, on blackclassicpress.com, the 3 elders that you note as having inspired and supported your business are John G. Jackson, John Henry Clark, and Dr. Ben.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think the next one is for you, Angela.
Okay. Black women spend $1 billion annually on hair care products.
So is that fact or whack? Black women spend $1 billion annually on hair care products. What say you, Mr. Coates and Adrian?
I'm going fact.
Adrian, what'd you say?
I'm going fact.
I'm going to say it's got to be close to it. I mean, I don't know. $1 billion sounds like a lot. I tell you what, Adrian, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say it's not. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we talking about African American or are we talking about Black women, period?
Black women, period. In the United States.
I'll go with $1 billion.
In the United States.
Oh, in the United States, I'm going to go not.
You saying whack?
Yeah, I'm going to go whack.
Okay. So here we're in another situation where everybody's saying fact except for one person. So Angela, is this fact or whack?
I am actually not 100% sure. I thought it was more than $1 billion, actually.
Yeah, it's whack.
Oh, okay. Is it whack because it's more than $1 billion?
Here you go.
Oh, there we go.
Black women spend $2.5 billion annually on hair care products. And this does not, according to CNBC, and this doesn't include accessories. It doesn't include the hair.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't include like curling irons and blow dryers, none of the tools. That's just from hair care products, I guess, like shampoos and things like that.
Okay.
Robert said, oops. Okay, and then we have one more for you, Adrian.
Whitman May, Adrian's company, was named after a daycare.
Is this fact or is this whack? Whitman May, which is Adrian's conglomerate, was named after a daycare.
I have to go with whack according to that convincing story Adrian gave. I mean, I like that.
Mr. Coates was paying attention. What do you say?
Right.
I
was paying attention with Mr. Coates. I'm going with him. That is definitely whack.
Everybody was paying attention. Is this fact or whack, Adrian?
So the way you have it written is whack. But the first company that I actually started was called Training Wheels. That was the first company that I started in 2000. And I literally was driving down the street. I was doing management training. I was traveling and training. And I saw, I was in Jefferson City, Missouri. I saw a daycare called Training Wheels. And I named my company after a daycare at that time. So, but Whitman May was not. But that's the reason that Whitman May, the name means something, because the previous name didn't mean anything.
Got it.
Nice.
But yeah, Whitman May was named in honor of my great-great aunt Minnie Beatrice May and great-uncle Albury Whitman Christian. My ancestors.
Okay, well, thank you all for playing Fact or Whack with us. And thank everybody. Oh, yeah, let's skip that one, Wendy. Thank everybody for participating. Listen, we had a lot of comments in the chat. I had more conversation for you guys, but I don't want to keep you here all night. I do want to acknowledge, since we're talking about ancestors, that there is an event coming up in support of Runoko Rashidi. And Mr. Coates, will you tell us about that?
I will. And first of all, tell people that they can go to ikgculturalresourcecenter.com to get more information. Runoko Rashidi was a brother to me, and he, as passionate as I am about those old guys who are never named, he was even more passionate. He traveled the world in search of the Black past and history. He documented with photos, with tours, and unfortunately, he died last year while he was in Egypt, while he was in Kemet. Tony Browder, who is another world traveler and someone devoted to keeping the spirit of Africa alive, we got together, and since Renoko passed a year ago, we decided to do an ancestral remembrance for him, for Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and for Dr. Patricia Newton. These gatherings are actually going to be around the country. There's one in Los Angeles is scheduled. There's one in Philadelphia, one in Washington, D.C. The ones in Washington and Philadelphia are live events. And I will ask people, Gina, I know your time is short, to go to IKG Cultural Resource Center for information. We also are doing a Zoom call. All of that information is on the IKG Cultural Resource Center site. And I really thank you for allowing me to get that in.
Of course, of course. So Wendy has put the URL in the chat. And if you could bring everybody back up, Wendy. Again, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight, for saying yes to my invitation. You're all people who I don't get to see very often. As your businesses have grown and as African Ancestry has grown, there's always that opportunity to talk and connect more. And so I appreciate your time tonight. Listen, everybody, if you are in the DMV, you can make an appointment at In Natural Hair Studio. Wendy's going to put the URL in there you go. And if you're not in the DMV, you can order products online from innaturalhairstudio.com. And if you follow them on social media, Angela and her team do a very thorough job of explaining their processes, doing, trainings here and there, and helping you to decide which products to use on your natural hair. So please support In Natural Hair Studio. You know how we do. Now, these are my people, y'all. Y'all can't embarrass me in front of my people. You got to support my people. Adrian, I think I just got to make jump on Southwest. Every time I'm like, I'm going to be there. Are you going to be around? And we miss each other. But when you are in a Raleigh-Durham International Airport terminal, which terminal?
I'm in both. In Raleigh, I'm in both, 1 and 2.
Okay, he's in both. Look, I told you I was a conglomerate. It don't matter which terminal you're in. You can go to one of Adrian's restaurants, and if you're in Charlotte, you can go to Terminal A, right? Mm-hmm. Terminal A, and get some bagels and smash burgers and drinks and all kinds of stuff. So please support those businesses, and we've put the names in the businesses in the chat. And then, of course, reading is fundamental. Mr. Coates already told us that we need to read, and we need to read about our history. And if you follow African Ancestry, you know this already. And so there are a world of books that you can have that you can purchase from blackclassicbooks.com. And we didn't get a chance to talk about the digital arm of the business, but they do printing. So if you need postcards or brochures or notebooks or anything that can be printed digitally, they'll be able to help you out at Black Classic Press Digital.
Thank you. Gina, can I ask Angela just one question?
Of course.
Angela, do you also work with men? Or
Yes.
are we restrained? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I just want to know that. I don't have that
we
much
can grow
hair,
you some locks. They can start some locks for you, Mr. Coates.
Okay. I don't know about the locks, but I'm gonna hook you up. My wife is I'm gonna make an appointment for my wife. Okay.
All right.
And so we're gonna get her hooked up. Okay.
I love Adrian, it. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to say, Angela, this may not be perfect to say it, but I'll try to do it the best I can. I don't display books. I don't look like books. Adrian doesn't look like food. Your hair is a perfect advertisement, though, for what you do. Okay, you got it down pat. All right.
Yes, Adrian, you do not look like a hamburger. You do not look like a bagel.
Thank you.
So listen, you all, I appreciate everyone who joined us tonight. And don't forget that we're going home to Africa. You can join us. We didn't even get into everybody's African ancestries, but the majority of the people on this call know their African ancestry. I'm not going to call the one person who doesn't, I'm not going to call them out. But we got Gabon represented in the house. We got, I think, Sierra Leone. But if you answer, then it's going to show who's not. So, but we got these are African ancestry family members and supporters. And we're going home to Africa, and you guys can join us. You go over to AfricanAncestry.com/travel. We're going to Ghana in October. We're going to Sierra Leone in November, and we're going to Cameroon in March. If you're watching us on the replay, put the shopping cart emoji in the comments, please, to show these entrepreneurs some love. And please, please, please support their businesses when you can. Don't forget to visit our social media channels to see more. And more importantly, support the Black-owned businesses that we've been highlighting all month. We will be back on September 7th when we start a new series where we're unpacking how the void of knowing where we're from in Africa has impacted us generations later. And I cannot leave without shouting out our producer, Wendy. Wendy, thank you so much for making this happen. Until we meet again, everyone, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good night.
Thank you.